Hello and welcome everyone. My name is Lucian Zaborowski. I am the Associate Head of Marketing here at Creatio. Today we have a superb webinar and I am joined by two fantastic speakers, and we are all on camera for you today, so it'll be hopefully quite interactive and quite visual as well. So with me I have Sebastien Forget. He is the President and owner of Solutions Metrics, our dear partner based in Canada. We also have Alex Petronenko. He is the product evangelist at Creatio, has been with Creatio for many years, and is probably one of the best person to talk to us about Creatio itself, our CRM and low-code solutions. So I'm very excited. Today we're going to talk about professional services industry specifically. We're going to focus on the industry. We're going to focus on practical use cases for the industry. So I'm very excited for today's session. I am very excited to hear from our speakers. But before we get into the actual presentation, let's just talk about the logistics of our webinar today. We'll go briefly through the agenda. As we typically do, we're going to introduce the speakers and the companies. But then we're going to go straight into the core of the professional services industry. We're going to talk about the current state of it. We're going to also talk about the future, and we're going to focus on practical cases of companies that have used the low code to really benefit their businesses. And we're also going to talk about Creatio itself and our low code CRM platform. And typically, as we do, we will be recording this session. So if you can stay throughout, don't worry, we're going to make sure to share the recording with you afterwards. We also are welcoming your questions. Please put them into the chat area, and we're going to be sure to answer them during the Q&A towards the end of the webinar. If we can't get to all the questions, we'll be sure to, again, send an email with our answers and with the recording. So that's that very briefly, and I am very, again, one more time, I'll say that, excited to introduce Sebastien. Sebastien, tell us a little bit about yourself and about Solutions Metrics, and kick us off with the webinar.
Hey, thank you so much, Lucian. So I'm Sebastien, the founder of Solution Metrics. Graduated as an engineer, so I'm technical at heart, but rapidly went into more business and the business side. Really passionate about solving problems, and I graduated in 2000. So right after started Solution Metrics, where it was not called CRM at the time that much. I think the term became popular, but always worked in beginning leads internet, right? In 98, 97, we saw the website and the internet kicking off. So I was passionate about that. So I kept and the portion I was more passionate about always been visitor, lead, prospect, customer experience, getting the leads, transformation of the leads into a customer, making sure that the customer goes through. So been in that for 20 years now. So some gray hair, some age, and it's very challenging and fun, that journey. So, and a little about Solution Metrics. Oh, sorry. Wrong. A little, I don't. Is that
almost there?
Almost there. Okay, good. So 20 years of experience. So Solution Metrics has been around for a long time, always in CRM. So we work with various solutions within the 20 years. Our people are really in our service is two things. So yes, we see CRM, there's an important IT component, but we don't see CRM as an IT project. CRM is a transformational project. It's a business project. So CRM per se is not the end goal, right? So having a CRM is not the end goal. It is better serve your customer, extraordinary customer experience, more sales, maybe going into new territories. So there's really what we call the overarching goals of CRM. So that's what we're about. So we consult on making sure we're achieving those business goals while leveraging the CRM best practices. So with a little more than 50 employees, so we don't call at that size, we don't call them the company small, we call them boutique firms. So that's a polite term for small. So we're 50, and we've been working with a little more than 200 customers, so that we're actively supporting. So good. So professional services, I'm going to talk about the industry trends right now. And we all know it's been, a transformative year in 2020. We've done in 1 year what normally would have been done in 8 to 10 years, because we were faced with a situation where a company has to react. And it's in every field, in every industry. And today we're going to be focusing on the professional services. Good. So for sure, we cannot start this webinar without speaking about AI. And today I want to be more precise around professional services and AI, because we've seen AI, and even sometimes, AI this and that, and AI everything. It's but in professional services, there's a couple of places where it's really strategic. First and foremost, we always, or the way we've been introduced to AI is machine learning and very large data sets of millions and billions of records to be able to precisely predict or have some intelligence that is artificially right? So not artificial ignorance. So, and that's not true that much in professional services. And here's what I'm saying is, when you're leveraging the public AI, like Watson, for example, or Google AI, they already have lots of data sets. And we've seen that in the professional industry as well. So a couple example, pattern of consumption of your professional services customer, you can be proactive with AI in terms of what will be the next thing that should be done, when it's the right time to get back in touch with them. That's something that we've seen with, for example, Watson does that. Another example in professional services for artificial intelligence is, and it's great, and it's something we're going to talk about low code and a little later, but it's the smart inbox. So, and even today we're, or even most of us have their emails, ordered chronologically. So from the most recent to, but it's not really based on what's important, right? So and we'll be pleased to do a demo after, because this today is not a demo at all, but how we can change that to a better customer experience. So a smart inbox that make you working on the relevant things. So that would be an example. And AI and ML are being applied to more and more complex tasks. That's true. We've seen it in the insurtech, right? We've seen it in the fintech as well. So we're going to see that in professional services. So I'm calling them the proftech. Maybe I'm wrong in the term. It's something I just came up with. But anyways, it's so an example will be in insurance. So the claims and the underwriting are pretty complex workflows, right? And complex tasks. There's a lot of very intelligent people involved into assessing risk and taking decision. This is now transformed into so the complexity and the analysis is partially done through AI. So that would be an example. And again, we're keeping it high level here, but if you want a demo of actual how it's been done at very detail, you're welcome to poke us. So the other trend that we're seeing that's coming from 2020 is the commoditized services. So the technology, and Alex and Lucian we're super proud partner of Creatio. We've seen BPM transforming into low-code, no-code. So being a platform where it's super easy to automate and get the complex things out of the way of figuring out things that are clerical to do. So we leverage, like we mentioned, AI. We also leverage low-code and advanced workflow in order to to make things more simpler to tackle. So what would be a very complex workflow? We simplify it into make it more easy. So two things are coming out of this. So first, you can automate a part of your services as well. So to make it more easy to deliver, less costly, more competitive. And as well, that's a trend that is always coming in professional services, even before the pandemic. It's few things becoming commoditized. So in the legal service is a great example. There's things that you need to have a bunch of lawyers and really costly. Now became kind of, you go online, click, 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 enter a few details, boom, it's been commoditized, it's $500 and stuff. So things will happen like this in the professional services. So it also, so it's an opportunity. It's an opportunity for the professional services firm, like us, for example, to be different and to be ahead of the curve in offering this service in a different way. Another oh, I'm sorry, I'm struggling here with my, another trend is the knowledge sharing and platform. So we've seen all those collaboration platform being democratized and really accessible in the past years. And now it's more important than ever. Couple reasons. First, because of the pandemic, and I think professional services is definitely a place where to have a remote relationship, a remote engagement, less face-to-face has been the most impacted, because if you're looking at different city downtown, and they struggle because those where you used to have all those people face-to-face doing meetings and coming up, it's now remote, most of them. And if you read any HR thought leadership, it will stay like this. Not as severe it is. It could be a 1-2 day at the office, the rest will be remote. But the remote engagement, remote relationship is there to stay. It's not going to go back. Few exceptions. But your knowledge base, your LMS is super important. So LMS stands for Learning Management Software. So again, you don't need to be a university or a Harvard in terms of LMS, but you need something where your knowledge is accessible by your team. So you're sharing expertise. So that's very, very, very important. And another thing as well we've seen in 2020, because definitely one of the challenge was onboarding, and the onboarding of the new employees as in a remote way. So the first 3 months are always challenging, even if you're on site face-to-face at the office. Now it's really challenging. So I invite you to look at different platform and collaboration platform and there's automation as well as reside, where HR platform serve as onboarding, and there's HR module and things we've done within Creatio as well, but where your onboarding process, your knowledge sharing, your knowledge base, and your everything that needs to be done throughout an onboarding, and some use a badge program as well, to make sure your onboarding goes well of new resources in a remote fashion. That's very, very important, because like I mentioned, it's a trend that where every analyst on the market is seeing continuing in 2021. So the other trend that's there, it's increasing in market research. So what this means is the fact that we're not face-to-face, or less face-to-face, should say, open new opportunities, right? So there's no geographical limitation or less now. What this means is your reach. So if you're a professional services firm on this webinar, your reach is not global. Could be challenging in some, other time zones in order to work at night, stuff like this, but be aware there's the geographical limitation for professional services tends to go down. So there's no more fences, there's no more, we don't serve that area. You will see on the reverse, you will see in your local area or what you consider maybe your territory, you will see people from remote coming into that territory as well. So there's more competition, and that's why technology. So there's a lot of it. Those tools has evolved tremendously during 2020, and they will continue because it's not finished, like we said. So facilitate that. So your reach in terms of market is going beyond the regular territory or geographical region you were deserving. Another trend, which is I like this one because I'm what I call myself an open and honest guy. And this is what customer expects as well, more and more in 2020. Because when you're remote, you don't have that sense of being a meeting to read in between the line and the body language of people. So they want absolute transparency. I think that comes from a transformation that occurred in 2020. So we talked about collaboration platform, right? So client portal and where you communicate with your customer through different platform, and expose as well where you are, even if you're late, even if you're made a mistake. Transparency will win because it's building trust, right? So the trust, especially when you work remote, is very important, and being transparent inspire trust. So that's another very important trend that we've seen in 2020, and it's predicted to be continuing in 2021 and even more. The other one is, and that one I really like, from problem solving to prevention. So professional services, sometimes we have a mandate with a contract that will be for a specific period of time. This is transforming as well into a more collaborative approach where we're gonna follow you through a journey. So as you're building your AI, your proactive tool, your preventive approach, it opens the door from a more hourly rate of, okay, this is 100 hour or 1,000 hour, into more a recurring revenue as well for a professional services firm when they say, I'm going to be there for you. And an example is legal. So I used to, for example, have legal advice and was paying by the hours. So the new firm we're using transformed into a recurring revenue. So I'm paying a monthly fixed cost, which I love to pay, but I can use them. So I use my lawyer more. We use our lawyer more before, because before it was complicated hours invoice, and so it's kind, and the scope is really well defined, but we're more preventive. So that type of engagement will be coming more and more on the professional services side. So good. So the future business model. So now those are the trend, right? So those are the major trend, should say. And what we're going to talk about now is the future business model. So how should we architect our businesses in order to make sure that we're leveraging the opportunities that the trends are bringing? But before that, we're going to go into a poll. So we want to make this interactive. We want to make sure you engage. So my friend Lucien will ask you a few questions.
Thank you, Sebastian. So yes, so our poll question is really about the future, and where do you see in terms of the professional services industry? Let's put the question on. Let's start the poll. The question is really about where you see the focus should be for businesses in this industry. We'd love to get your answers, and let's see together the results. But it's about again, what is the business model for this year and beyond that should be the focus. So tell us about your own experience, your own business, professional services in general. Where needs to be the focus? Let's get these results and see. Now, before in the meantime, I just had a question to you, Sebastian. You mentioned something quite interesting, and I thought about this. In terms of this case of legal and research and AI, I've read about this quite a bit in terms of the fact that AI can effectively replace the manual research in the legal field, because there's so much that the paralegals do that potentially AI can do on its own. But then this aspect of knowledge sharing is, I think, where potentially something like low code can come in, where you take this knowledge and with processes you set it up. And so I guess my question is, have you seen this kind of happening? Have you experienced this with certain companies in the industry going this way?
Absolutely. So we, for example, in the legal field, we've seen, so there's an incoming case that's coming. So the AI will be analyzing the current situation of the case, so everything that's related to the case, and will find similar cases, which was a lot of legal or paralegal research before. Again, at where we are in 2021 is the AI will provide the information, say, okay, we predict that there's 96% chances that its cases is match your current cases. So you do have those research being done through AI. And technical detail, I will skip the technical detail behind, but absolutely. So the paralegal job is really fun right now. So
well, and yeah. Sebastian, do you think that the role of the paralegal is going to be fully replaced by AI, or are they just going to be empowered by the AI capability, and it's just that their focus of work is going to be less on research, right, and leverage this AI, but they're going to be more of a covering some other more areas of the job, spending less time on research, basically.
I personally think it will not be replaced. I think it will be more efficient. So instead, for example, of handling 10 cases a week, they will be able to handle 50 cases a week. But because of the legal interpretation, and that's why we have lawyers, right? Is to,
of course.
But you understand what I mean? So. So we won't replace paralegal, but they will be way more efficient. So at the end, yes, could be that for the research task, we'll cut that in. Resources can do 10 times more what the other could do. So that's what. And
so basically, it's not the time to panic. It's not the time to panic with the full replacement of paralegal by AI, but obviously they're going to be empowered.
Exactly. It's the time to seize the opportunity and making sure you're leveraging it. So like we said, you can offer different services, being more in a different mode, have better engagement, more transparency about here's what we're doing with AI, and we can do a new platform collaboration and stuff. Absolutely. So I think it's just in line with what we said.
We had a small technical issue with the poll, so we'll proceed to the next part of the content, and we'll have a rich discussion later on during the Q&A. So again, the audience can tell us more about their own experiences and engage with us. For now, Sebastian, let's proceed. Let's continue, and you should be able to click that. There you go. Back to you.
Perfect. Excellent. So the future business model. So based on what we discussed previously. So first is choosing the direction. So the couple tricky questions, since the poll is we'll do later. So will future firm looks like software company? So it's a good question. Okay, to my humble opinion, is the difference between yes we can and we will. So software is an enabler. So you can do a lot of things with software, but as is, it will not fix it. It's a platform that you're leveraging to do it. Now, as professional service firm, we're actually paid to solve the problem, not give the possibility of solving the problem. So that's the difference, and the expertise as well that goes with it based by industry. So it's slightly different there. Will they be structured like networks? Absolutely. So I think lots of professional services firms have a partnership program or some kind of program where they partner with they exchange leads or clients, stuff like this. It will be like this. And even we're seeing type of consortium forming and even more where it's transparent to the customer. Say, okay, we have a network of experts. uh, independent or firms that will deliver the service, but it's structured at a network. So and we'll see. We don't recommend to start doing everything, but partner with people that is their expertise. Will the organization structure become flexible according to the ever-changing client needs? For sure. I think, like I said, we had to adapt in 2020, and it's funny because, and I want to sound negative, but there's people in 2020 that say, I'm putting everything on pause until it gets back to normal. And you had other people that say, you know what, this is the new normal. We have to figure it out. And they came to the market with new solution, new approach. And as we're hopefully seeing, vaccine and coming out of the pandemic, we're realizing that this will stay. A part of it will stay the way we engage with people. So we've been, for company who adapted, and we're one of those, we're way more productive than we were before. I was spending hours in traffic to meet people. I don't have to do that now. We still need to be face to face, but there's definitely things that will remain in 2020. So the ever-changing client needs, for sure, we need to be quick as professional service firm. Will they be able to pull part from their resources, independent professional and team as needed? For sure. You need a collaboration platform. You need a way to be able to bring people into your organization that could be sporadic, could be, but I think if and big firms are doing it as well. So even the big guys that we know, the Deloitte and the Accenture and those who have like 100,000 of employees, they do that as well. So you don't have to be shy if you're small to do it. The big guys are doing it. So that's a trend that will remain as well. We talked about it. 2020 was an acceleration of how we need to improve. It will stay. We talked about it, but it's this trend. So the only certainty it will change. So we need to be in a mindset where it's continuous improvement. I mentioned it before. There will be new service model, new ways of doing professional services, new types of engagement, new types of proposal, new types of delivering services. We've seen, like mentioned earlier, the fintech, the insurtech. So this is becoming the professional tech or prof tech era. More than ever, because it's changing. The guys who are agile with technology and agile with businesses that are more traditional needs those services, needs those advice. They cannot, by the nature of some industry, they cannot react as quick as like us in professional services, where we're kind of by nature more adaptive to change and change management, and so that's things we know how to do. So they need our consulting, they need our advice on how to adapt. So it's our duty to adapt and offer that in a way that's different. So
and Sebastian, this is a very interesting point, and maybe I'm a little bit interrupting your flow, but maybe we can discuss a few things here. Do you think that the year 2020 and the pandemic also kind of helps boost the evolution and perhaps revolutionize some of the orthodox professional services companies and organizations, for example, like legal? If you've seen that there's already been a switch in how they operate, if they were able to adapt, or they're now trying to rapidly adapt to this new way of living.
Absolutely. So another example would be M&A, merger and acquisition.
Yep.
The way you did that 5 years ago is totally transformed. So the process is all lined up. So you come with an organized professional services firm. They have their flow, they have their platform, they have their ways of doing things, they have their recipe of how it needs to be successful. And they go to boom, and they don't have to. You really feel that first, as a customer, you really feel they're really professional at doing it. They have a recipe that works. the pricing become more attractive because they know what they're doing, and so that's an example of how technology and new trends are doing. So there's been a lot of M&A in 2020, and that's been done in a different way. So those leaders were ahead of the curve in terms of way of doing things. They succeed. So plus the geographical border are going away, so it's easier than ever to expand. It's a great opportunity, even for resources, because professional services are intake or it's talent. So you can recruit all over the world now if you're well organized to do so. It's a very good opportunity. So I've seen it. We've seen it in legal. We've seen it in insurance. We've seen it in M&A. We've seen it in any types of pure consulting work as well, where they switch their let's say their kind of intervention they were doing into a program. So here's my program. So and then it's collaborative. So an example is, we're in CRM, right? So we have many partners or people that we're close to that are sales coach. So we're not sales coach, they are a sales coach. So we've seen those sales coach coming from going to go in, do the transforming into, okay, I have a program, I have this, and they come with a platform. It's okay, you're taking my services, I'm going to be doing the initial work to make sure they understand the methodology, and then I'm going to follow up on it. And then I'm going to bound into your CRM. I'm going to have the learning management software type of. So it's transforming into a more engaged relationship and the value is extraordinary for the customer.
Yeah, very interesting. Thank you.
Pleasure. And this is a very good segue into the next slide, which is coming, which is the value-based fee.
A little of a delay, but I think we're getting there.
We're getting there. So value-based fee. So in professional services, some of the services are per hour, right? We have an hourly rate, and we're professional. So, and the trend is not necessarily package it in a way where it's a fixed bid, but it's more value-based. So we're seeing transformation from a pure hourly type of engagement into there's an engagement with a commercial agreement, but there's also a part on the return on investment of the different initiatives that sorry, I think they all came at the same time. So there's also a compensation for the return on investment. So it's not only a pure engagement on hourly rate. It's really value-based fee. So you're actually charging on I'm sorry, here I'm going through a different slide. Solution, can you bring me to the value-based fee? So while we're engaging with our customer, we're really there to help them retrieve the ROI on their initiative. So we're sharing the ROI. So that's definitely the trend there that we're going through. And also that's why we're seeing some productized services as well. So instead of going into an engagement, so it's called a program, or really you're buying a product which is composed of services. And that price is, or the value or the commercial agreement goes into the return on investment of that engagement. So so definitely how to structure your when we talk about structuring the company, that this is definitely a trend to think about in order in 2021. Then if we're going on the next slide, I'm going to try to go without messing up everything. So staying focused on the core. So I'm not sure it's switching. So staying focused on the core. So that's always been a challenge for professional services to say, with time, as, for example, a company has been there for 10, 15, 20 years. Should we be diversifying, or should we expand in what we're knowing? Very tricky question. So here's, and every case is different, but the trend is coming out of the pandemic, knowing there's no more regional limitation or boundaries, tends, the analyst says, and that's what we're seeing as well, staying focused on your core. So until you maxed out globally on what you're good at, okay, that this could be an exception, but stay focused on your core. As the customer are becoming more and more demanding, it will be more and more difficult to diversify without big investment. Now, you need to have a strategy for it and a plan and the investment and the resources in order to be able to do so. But definitely, the trend is you staying focused, you try to expand, you put forward what your really unique are, what's your promise, what's your unique things that you can promise that this will happen, and ROI will be better than trying to do other stuff that could be you're not as expert as. Now, talent strategy. So and for a long time, if you go back 15 years ago, to recruit a customer, you were going, let's say, on the yellow pages, and then the phone was ringing, and then you had the prospect, and then you signed the deal. And it was kind of easy to find customer, right? So it was, you want customer, you put an ad somewhere, and then the phone rings. Now it's become super complex. We need prospect content, so it's more competitive than ever. Where everyone here is one Google search away from all their competitor. So the same thing is happening on the talent side. So a couple of years ago, 10 years ago, you were posting an ads on Monster or those type of platform. You had 50, 60, 70 resumes, then you filter to the best 6, 7, then you do a phone call, and then you pick the top 3. This is going away as well. So talent is solicited from all over the world. So as you're staying focused for your customer, this will help you attract talent as well. So if you don't have, and again, we're pleased to do a demonstration later, you in your CRM needs to have a strategy to attract talent, exactly like you're doing to attract prospect. Okay, so as a professional service firm, and the good news, if you don't have a CRM, Creatio is the excellent platform, and for those who have Creatio, it can do it. We'll be pleased to show it to you. So the other slide, or the other topic, is talent strategy. So we mentioned, the recruitment part, and again, be able to be collaborative, so you can recruit resources from all over the world, but as well, the future talent pool. And a trend we're seeing in talent strategy is, in the HR, the typical org chart is there because we need an org chart, but we're seeing some switch to, some call it an accountability chart, some call it a role and responsibility. So the job description, which used to be, I don't want to say it's boring to have a job description, but we don't want to put people in a box where we want them to be expert, we want them to be focused on things, but we also need to manage their talent, manage the professional development plan. So that's the talent strategy of professional development plan in line with growing your resources globally is very, very important. So I'm gonna go quick here. So another trend is the just, I don't want to switch, but the small disciplinary team. So as we're talking about talent strategy to attract people, so how do you organize your firm into delivering and adapting to 2021? So the model that's been proven as working very, very well, first on a remote, second for the customer, third to manage internally as for the management of the professional services firm, is the multidisciplinary teams in a small size. So you're creating teams, and it's okay if people report to different manager, you gather them for specific intervention, and people can be part of multiple teams, but they're small teams, so easier to manage. And I think we've seen in technology and in software development the agile. So if you don't know about agile, about what's happening in the software development management. So there's been a big transformation from what they call waterfall, which is a big project and a big PowerPoint into a more agile, simpler to manage and easier for everyone in the team to support. So you actually have time to manage your project, not manage the management of the project. So agile is coming to professional services as well. So there's different methodology on using agile, but definitely agile is coming into professional services delivery project as well. So having small disciplinary teams is definitely a trend in 2021. Now the ultimate direction. So there's a rise of automation for sure, and things have changed. So an example would be in CRM. We've seen 10 years ago, we were called a lot to say, I need a CRM because I need to manage my sales funnel. I need to have a contact database. I need to know when I last spoke with my customer because I don't have that, so I need a CRM for that. 10 years later, or even 12, 13 years later, we're not seeing that anymore. Because why? It's been commoditized. People know the basic type of CRM. So not every, but most of sales director right now in 2021 know how to manage a sales force with a sales funnel, which was not the case 10, 15 years ago. So there's a lot of things as well that's going like this in the professional services. So you need to be thinking of what's coming next or what the new mandates you've done that can be transformed for the new for your new customer. So that's and leveraging the, like it says here, the automation in order to be more attractive, removing the geographical boundary. It's the right direction. So and that, so the I'm not too sure.
Some clicking issues today. I noticed we have a little bit of delays. Yeah. That's right, but I think we're getting to the next part of the session now. Let's see if we can get there on the slide wise. I think we have, yeah.
So I can conclude with this one because briefly, because this summarized all of it. So the future client. So think about productized services because that's what they want. They want to be clear on what will be the ROI and how they can engage with you and how it can be easy, simple, collaborative, open, and honest. And also be aware that your future client is almost as educated as you are on the specific topic. So in the past year, we talked about a lot about how the sales engagement has changed. So people educate themselves before engaging with supplier because people don't like to be sold, so they get the information, so they're more aware. So same thing is happening on professional services. So the information gap in between is closing. And then based on value, not on hourly rate. So so that, and then sorry about that. We're going about those little slides, and then I'm going to pass the mic to my friend Alex.
Thanks, Sebastien. Thank you. And let's see if I can actually get through the slides here as well quickly, since we are limited on the time. But basically, what we wanted to do is really guide you through a little bit of a background on Creatio, who we are, And basically, what do we do? How do we empower professional services firms and organizations in in achieving those goals and achieving and following those trends that we've talked about? And if I can get through the slides.
I think there's a delay still.
Yeah, looks like it.
Okay. Looks like it skipped one.
All right, that's actually all right. But basically, let's talk about well, Creatio as okay. Now we're jumping all over the place. Well, as you know, Creatio has been on the market for over 15 years, right? We are present in more than 110 countries with the help of all of our 700 partners, right? And we are a relatively small team of 650 employees, out of which half is in the research and development. And the goal of the Creatio organization is to actually make it possible to automate any business idea in minutes, right? With the help of our local technology, with the help of rolling out business applications in minutes, or more of in days and weeks rather than months, right? Now, I'm just going to go through the narrative here, and let's just try and follow the slide. So basically, the way that we are covering some of the AI and some of the automations that Sebastian has mentioned through the PowerPoint is really through some of those tasks that we, some of the AI machine learning model tasks that we can actually cover, right? And some of those are really on the classification, on regression, on recommendation, and also search of the similar objects that we've talked about, right? So this is the direction of Creatio as a vendor, right? That is actually focusing on providing machine learning models and AI capability in a low-code environment. And overall, what does the low-code implementation or implementation of a low-code software enable us to do is really to have certain outcomes, out of which we can really deliver innovation 10 times faster, right? We can overall revolutionize the time to market and how do organizations approach the implementation of the software. We definitely can level up the productivity of the staff, right? And we can really achieve that operational excellence, where an intelligent business process management platform can really guide the users, can really guide the staff through the execution of their daily activities. And of course, this as well allows us to achieve a completely different level of engagement with customers, with partners, and even with employees, because the CRM eventually is not just about external front office communication, but also internal communication between the staff, right? Especially now that we are really dispersed, we are really all over the place with the remote workforce, right? And this is one of the trends that we're going to be following in the future, hiring more and more people in remote locations outside of the office, let's put it this way. Now, of course, Creatio as also a vendor, not just in local space, but a local CRM, has a lot of pre-built capability, has a lot of pre-built modules that help us achieve that and help us implement into professional services organizations as well. This is everything starting with the project management collaboration tools, the customer 360 and the customer management functionality, obviously more front office operations for marketing, for sales, for service automation, and overall the capability to make data-driven decisions within our BPM engine. So there's quite a lot of functionality that is already there, right? It is not a classic out-of-the-box, off-the-shelf CRM product, but it is a low-code CRM that also has a lot of valuables. It has a lot of advantages towards a traditional CRM. And I'm going to talk about the differences in just a couple of slides to give a little bit of a feeling of what it is, what is the difference in the two. And let's just quickly move to the next slide. Now I'm a little bit scared of moving through the slides. But even if we're talking about, comparing out-of-the-box CRM, a low-code CRM from the app delivery's point of view, from the solution scope, maintenance, overall, what we see is that when you have an out-of-the-box CRM, you're kind of stuck with having to go through longer implementation life cycles, right? It is very often professional development, more of advanced coding that is required to make changes to it, because the functionality in out of the box is more of a tight and kind of a narrowed down to specific use cases. When we talk about low-code CRM, we're talking about drag and drop interfaces. We're talking about faster implementation life cycles. We're talking about a faster and an easier change management approach in general, right? And these low-code CRMs are very often powered by ready-to-be-used plug-and-play connectors and integrations, right? So more about take a pre-configured module and that you can repurpose, that you can tailor, that you can adjust according to your needs, right? Or not even to your needs, but to the needs of your customers and your employees that are always changing, right? And we've seen how drastic these changes might be with time. And of course, you know, just as we talk about the benefits and how those different applications work, it is also about the market shifts, right? It's about what are the overall benefits that the two can bring you, right? Or comparing between them. So if you talk about out of the box, definitely it takes a longer time to market, right? Where with the low-code CRM, you are achieving the same results a lot faster. The overall operational expenses and total cost of ownership is completely different, because with low-code environment, you are either not requiring any IT resources or their numbers significantly lower, right? Because those are not now professional developers. Those are, you know, citizen developers, business analysts, business people with some technical knowledge. And of course, underlying is the satisfaction. It is the customer satisfaction where the organization can meet their can meet their new needs. It is the employee and the staff satisfaction because the organization can adapt to the change requirements in the workspace and how everything is being executed internally in the organization, right? So overall, it's a win situation for those organizations that are able to become a local company, right? And especially when we talk about professional services, right? Because Sebastian, as we've mentioned, they are changing, they are evolving, they are adapting to the world, right? And even though they were not following this kind of a flow in these steps previously, they will now see this benefit and the need of being able to change faster.
Absolutely, and I'm seeing it on the partner side. So when we do the implementation of Creatio, it's great because a couple of things as well on the implementation side. First, we can go live with the phase one that tackles what we call the low-hanging fruit or a rapid ROI initiative very rapidly. It's not months, it's weeks. Now, couple weeks, more weeks, but it's weeks, and then we can work on the platform as we go. So it's really a phased approach with Creatio where you retrieve ROI at each steps. Plus, because of the low-code, the user adoption, which is critical for CRM. Enemy number one of CRM is not that much technology, is user adoption. It's fantastic for that purpose.
Yeah, absolutely. So even though we had a little bit of a hectic switch over the slides, Sebastian, I'm going to pass the floor back to you for some of the you know, real life use cases with your customers and what you were able to achieve with them.
Exactly. So if we're going to the use cases slide, so first, increase in quality of service with AI. So again, I'm scared to move the slide. Okay, so first, there's an increase in quality with service. So with AI, so an example is we do have a customer called Complete. So they're manufacturer of air filter, which are perishable or consumable in the HVAC field. So we implemented the AI and could predict when the customer will be needed a new order or need to do some replenishment of stock. So what happened is email were sent out before the actual customer were, you know, shorts of goods. So, and it's fun because the first week we implemented that, the customer was happy, was forwarding us email of his customer saying, thank you, you're absolutely right, I'm about to go low in stock, so ship me another pallet. So that's fun. Commoditization and optimization. So Saskatchewan Blue Cross. So we know all those Blue Crosses in the world. So insurance has been, you know, with InsurTech in a commoditization phase. So automation is what we've done in Saskatchewan Blue Cross. Is we talked about a little about the claims and the underwriting and working with sales and all the retroaction. So this is definitely a great use cases where you can automate and make it way more easy to operate and increase customer satisfaction as well. So an example is, you know, well, you're selling insurance. So if you haven't done a claim, you can proactively reach out to you and say, do you have a problem using our product? Do you understand it? So they make sure people renew. So they reduce the churn. Knowledge sharing and platform. So University of Waterloo it's a good example. So there's a lot of international student program that they're doing with universities all over the world. So be able to share the knowledge to make people more efficient is definitely important. So increase it in market reach. So and I love, Alex, you touched about the point of being integrated, and it's the full marketing suite. So CRM for sure has been used to do prospection, but having in the same platform your marketing, your sales, your operation, part of the operation of GoCube is within CRM. So they increase the market reach because they can segment very, very well the different personas and even predict on the persona based on the type of request that enter. So they can adapt their offer into those types of persona, thing they couldn't do before. They were more mass reach or mass campaign. Now it's really targeted. So they really increased their market reach. And I invite people to read about those models if they're interested. But WebMD, which is right, the medical platform where you can get even prescriptions, is you go online, credit card, you know, you get your advice, you're good. For sure, sometimes you need still to go to the clinic, but it reduces a lot of load on those clinics. So and telemedicine is big, right? So the pandemic also helped that. So the other one is Harvard X, which is a big platform. So the Harvard, we all know Harvard. So Harvard X, have a look. It's an acceleration of the Harvard program doing online, and they're definitely a leader in remote education and learners on demand. So that's another example where it's you know, you have a pool of talent, you pull the resources, there's a fixed fee, it's not, so it's very, very attractive, really fun to use, and it's great how those businesses adapted their business model to be on the latest and greatest. So those are great use cases to look at.
Thank you, Sebastian. Thank you, Alex. Gentlemen, great webinar, great presentations from both of you. We are about 2 minutes away from the hour, so let's just use that time for a couple questions for both of you. I have one. I'm just curious, in terms of your experience working with professional services company and implementing technology and talking to them about technology, where do you think professional services are compared to other industries in terms of their level of advancement with tech? You know, do you think they're behind the curve? Are they kind of on the curve or ahead? And Alex, maybe even from perspective of Creatio and implementing Creatio, how do you see this industry compared to others? So maybe start with you, Sebastian, on this one. Tell us about your experience with the industry compared to others.
So I personally believe that professional services is a little behind. So we've seen those PSA, professional services automation platform, coming. It's not a big high success rate. Unfortunately, there's a lot of things that are easy now in 2021 that are not leveraged by professional services automation. And one of the reasons is the gross margin on professional services is really high, right? So it's 50%, the average. So, and it's challenging to differ from this model because all the education we had or the coaching around there on professional services firm is those KPIs, right? So which made professional services firm a little more behind because they're looking at their 50% gross margin, which is the benchmark in professional services. Now we need to change our glasses and look at it differently like many other companies. So it's not gross margin and net and managing your fixed fees and stuff. It's different. It's value based. So because of that reason, I think it's behind. I think the document management is not great. The automation of the task, the collaboration. Lots of us have timesheet systems that are not, expense account left and right, and the accounting and the invoicing. So we're behind in technology, I believe.
Super. Thank you for that, Sebastian. We are at the hour, unfortunately, but as I said in the beginning, we'll make sure to share the recording. We'll try to make sure we answer any questions you have offline. Let us know. Please join us for other sessions. There's more to come. As always, every week we have digital events coming. So, gentlemen, one more time, thank you, Sebastian, Alex. Looking forward to another webinar together very soon.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Sebastian. Thank you, Lucian. Have a good one.
Thank you. Bye-bye now.